YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back after Sunday's action in the NFL for Week 4, and I'm here to recap it just like every single week. Also got power rankings coming tomorrow, some predictions for upcoming Week 5, score predictions, plenty more. You know the drill. Before we get started, we also have extra content available on our Patreon, patreon.com/thegoathouse. If you want more score predictions, we're adding junior score predictions, maybe some of the other guys' score predictions. Here on the channel, you get mine. Junior's the defending champ, so maybe you want to see those. Updated playoff predictions almost every single week on the Patreon. Updated mock drafts every other week, pretty much. All kinds of stuff. There's more. The list goes on. If you want more, go check it out. Patreon.com/thegoathouse. Subscriber goal is at 40K by the end of this year. Please help us out by subscribing. We got you covered with NFL and college football content all year long. Got you covered every single week during the season. Click that like button. Check us out on Twitter. But recapping these games, another very unpredictable and strange week in the NFL. But starting with the Patriots and the Bills, I guess the outcome, who won, I guess wasn't really unpredictable, but a weird game. You know, no offense for the Patriots. Tom Brady couldn't do anything. He was my fantasy team, getting me 3 fantasy points. So that was fantastic. Credit to the Bills defense. They're good. They're legit. You know, top tier. You know, they could be battling maybe the Bears for the top spot this year. Super impressive. You know, especially in cover, everything apart. You know, Tremaine Edmonds. You know, I loved him pre-draft. Guy's insane. You know, he's all over the place. So. Really the whole defense too, you know, the safety duo, everything. So super impressive there. But they got the problem on offense. You know, it's almost like they need a game manager at quarterback because the defense takes care of everything else. And Josh Allen just turning the ball over, you know, is really not going to cut it. It's just not going to cut it. So they got to figure something out. I mean, he can continue to get better. And he's hurt right now too. So we'll see if Barkley gets a nod against the Titans. But I mean, for them to have that many turnovers and still be in the game, like 16-10, is like kind of a good thing, but at the same time, it's a bad thing. Like, just if we had just if we can control the turnovers, you know, we have a legit team. That's got to be what, you know, the Bills fans are saying, the Bills Mafia is saying right now, and that's really the problem. Like, it's a game you really should win, honestly, but you know, credit to the Patriots getting things done there. The defense, J.C. Jackson, Kyle Van Noy, guys like that were just, you know, unreal. J.C. Jackson, unreal. You know, I can't believe that guy went undrafted. You know, I had a 3rd round grade on him. I mean, the guy's unreal. Very athletic playmaker back there. Big time for them. But a good game. You know, the Bills defense is going to keep them in games. It's going to push them, maybe a playoff push because of that. Quarterback situation's got to step up. You know, it's got a lot of hanging on the ball too long and then making a poor decision. A lot what we saw at Wyoming from Josh Allen. It's kind of showing up more now than ever. Hopefully he's okay for a defensive battle coming up against the Titans. That was a fun game though to watch, the Patriots, the Bills, even though it was kind of just turnovers and defense. Speaking of the Titans get a big win over the Falcons, 24-10. A couple things, you know, the Falcons. Disappointing season. You know, it's rough right now. It's bad. It's looking bad. Just not a lot of energy there. Not a whole bunch of defense with Keanu Neal out. It's kind of the same things you've been seeing over the last couple weeks. You know, usually it's like weeks 1, 2, maybe 3 are just kind of like, let's just get through those weeks, and then we start seeing the real team. Maybe it's a little different, but no, it's the same team. It's the same team. Offensive line's a mess, as I predicted at the beginning of the year. It's no surprise. Matt Ryan, you know, the stats look good, but really it's not the best game. You know, he hold on to the ball a little too long. You know, it's something I want to see like the all-22 on when it comes out for me here with the Game Pass. Because is he holding the ball too long because of him or because no one's getting open? Everyone hyped up this receiver unit, and, you know, maybe they're not getting open downfield. Maybe it's the play design isn't too good. Maybe it's long developing plays when you're playing a good defense with the Titans. I really don't know exactly what the problem is. But I do know it's a mixture of things. The offensive line, Matt Ryan's not playing his best ball. The defense wasn't too good. The Titans, Mariota had a hell of a game. You know, rookie A.J. Brown stepping up big time. I love that draft pick and love it even more now. Corey Davis is stepping up. Derrick Henry ran pretty well. I think 100 yards as expected. But Mariota, you know, being more than expected. You know, I think he could be a game manager. I think he can make things happen with his feet, but he's doing more than that, placing the balls perfectly. Everything was good in this game. The play calling even got better. I just don't like the decision-making of, you know, not kicking the field. It was 24-10 at that point. 2-possession game, not kicking a field goal. You have 4th and 1 with a chip shot field goal. You kick the field goal. You make it a 3-possession game. Didn't like the decision. there. So that was really the only thing. With the Titans in general, this defense is legit. You know, I talked about the Bills and the Bears at the top. Those are probably the two defenses at the top. I'd say third might be the Titans, top of my head right now. So very impressive, but it's just one of those teams that just isn't consistent. Like, what are they going to do with the Bills next week? You know, terrible against the Jags. I guess it was a sloppy game, pouring rain, started off with a fumbled punt. So I guess it was one of those games, but which Titans team's going to step up or show up, I should say. They should wear all white the whole year. I feel like they're really good when they wear all white. So, you know, I guess away maybe. But, yeah, that Titans team right there looks pretty good. Falcons, disaster. Not looking too good. The Chiefs and the Lions, this was a great game. And, you know, I've been kind of on the Lions train, hyping up the Lions, even though I picked the Chiefs in this game. And you can see why. Lions are legit. Even though 34 points were scored by the Chiefs, you know, it's still a pretty good defensive performance in the Lions. You look, if you didn't watch the game, you look at the score, it's like, all right, it wasn't too much of a defensive game, but there was a lot of fumbles in this game. That was a little sloppy on both sides. But, you know, the defense of the Lions just looking pretty good, even though they scored 34. You know, a lot of, you know, Mahomes didn't throw a touchdown pass. They didn't have Darius Slay. I thought Justin Coleman was insane. He had a great game, saving a touchdown, just a couple touchdowns, really, and all over the place. You know, attacking the ball, attacking the play. I love that. So Lions defense is good, even though they get up 34. You know, I like their pressure. They don't get a whole bunch of sacks, but they bring the pressure, which is key. So really a good game overall from the Lions. They got to control the ball. They can't turn it over in the red zone so much. You know, Stafford started off a little shaky. That bad fumble in the red zone, hanging on the ball way too long. That was bad. But towards the end, he got kind of clutched up, made some really good throws in tight windows. So, you know, Stafford easily being, I guess, that second best quarterback in the NFC North, and that could be the difference. You know, few NFC North teams, you know, struggling with their quarterback situation. And, you know, Stafford hasn't been the best, but showing some promise there, showing promise on both sides of the ball. You know, Kenny Galladay was dominant, but the Chiefs, even though it didn't look good, I kind of had a feeling, everybody did, they were going to go down there and score at the end. I think this team, it goes without saying that they need Tyreek Hill back. Well, it almost looks like they don't absolutely need him back. They're not dying to get him back. They're just much better with him. That goes without saying. I think they need Damian Williams back. I know Darrell Williams and LaShawn McCoy played pretty well. They got the ball in the end zone, but Damian Williams in the passing game, you know, catching the ball. They love running that slip screen. They miss that. He is dominant in that offense and they need him back, I think. You know, Mahomes was solid. He was clutch at the end. Love that Kelsey play, pitch it to McCoy. You know, it's nothing really went wrong for the Chiefs here. The defense, you know, they came up clutch with some turnovers, but obviously the Chiefs defense is going to give up some yards. I'm still waiting on like Frank Clark to make more of a presence, which I think he will as the season goes on, but still kind of waiting on that, even though he had a sack last week. Want more of like a presence, you know. But overall, a great game. Kind of had a feeling the Chiefs were going to go down there and score, but the Lions are for real, ladies and gentlemen. You know, that's no doubt. So I'm excited to see what they got going forward here. And the Raiders and the Colts, another game where even though the Colts had some guys out, you kind of thought the Colts would just win this game. The Raiders have just an absolute disaster a week ago in Minnesota on their way again, and it's pretty much the opposite. You know, the score doesn't even show this 31-24 7-point game. No, the Raiders dominated this game. The Colts were really were never in it. You know, at times like, okay, they can get back in it, but this was the Raiders game the whole time. I mean, they didn't really do anything special. Some play designs got the Colts. It just kind of goes back to me what I said before the season, the Colts defense being super inconsistent, unpredictable. It's a team I can't predict every single week, you know, which defense is going to show up. I know they had injuries, you know, I said that could affect them, but there's 11 guys on defense, you know, that screen pass that goes for 6 early in the game, like it's just terrible angles, terrible tackling attempts, and that's what I see from the Colts last year. You know, early in the season you kind of saw that, and then, you know, at times it looks like a top 10 defense, like easily top 10 defense, and at times it looks like that, and that's not going to cut it. So I don't know what to expect from the Colts every week. Yeah, Brissett threw a pick 6, but I don't put too much on Brissett. He played an okay game. You know, it's just maybe they would have won with T.Y. Hilton, Darius Leonard, Malik Hooker, but it really overall wasn't that good of a game for them at all. You know, the Raiders it's weird because Carr didn't do a whole bunch. I guess he didn't need to. Jacobs played a solid game. You know, it's a strange outcome, strange game. It's unpredictable. You know, like I said, looking at the Raiders and the Colts last week, what they did, and now this week, and Raiders are away, and I don't know. It's just a strange outcome, and It's just the Colts are one of those teams, unpredictable, hard to predict. I guess the Raiders too. The Chargers and the Dolphins, I don't really spend too much time every single week recapping Dolphins games because it's just a disaster as expected. It's almost like they want it to be. It might be how they want it to be. The Chargers, played a pretty good game. And when I say this, I don't mean points-wise. It just doesn't seem like there's a whole bunch of urgency on the offense. Like, I feel like they can do more, but I guess they didn't need to in this game. But, they look at the score, they put up 30 points, so that's satisfying. But you could do more. It was weird. You got Melvin Gordon back. He may touch the ball in this game, but then you got Troymaine Pope touching the ball. I thought I knew every player in the NFL. I never even heard of Troymaine Pope, to be honest with you. So that, Eckler played another good game, but I think the Chargers really can do more. The Dolphins, running back plays is just disaster, almost everything, but I'm just a little disappointing in guys like Balaj. He had a pretty bad drop in the red zone. I don't know. I don't want to. I don't like talking about these Dolphins games. They're a contender for the top pick for a reason. When it comes draft time. So the Chargers needed that. They got the win. Good for them. Moving on. Redskins, Giants. Redskins are another disaster. Keenum didn't look too... actually, the interception really wasn't his fault early, but he still didn't look too good. And they switched to Haskins to try to change the momentum, and he was just terrible, pretty much. 3 interceptions. They really couldn't get much going. Credit to the Giants. They got some momentum. They're clutching up. Daniel Jones got some confidence. He's looking good. Even Gallman was running pretty well. I think the Bears kind of just sucked the life out of the Redskins last week, and then the Giants kind of finished them off here. So it's a rough season for the Redskins. There was rumors that Gruden can get fired, after this, if this happened, and we'll see. I haven't heard anything about it yet, but, the Giants looking pretty impressive. The Redskins are a disaster. I think that's really the storyline of this game. I like the Giants front, and I kind of liked it going into the season. The defensive front looks pretty well. The offensive line, after not looking so hot last week, looked pretty good here. But guys stepped up. Giants are getting hot, but the Redskins are a disaster. I don't really need to go on about this game. The Browns and the Ravens. I was wrong to pick the Ravens, but what I was kind of right on was any time now the Browns offense is kind of going to break out, explode, and here we go, 40 points on the board. Good for them. That's big time. Nick Chubb was dominant. Jarvis Landry was dominant. Baker had a pretty solid game. And Jermaine Whitehead, coming out of nowhere, he had a hell of a game on the defensive side for the Browns. So guys stepping up because they had some injuries that, started last week, from on the defensive side in the secondary. So guys stepping up. So the Browns look really good. Credit to them. Maybe they're going to keep going. Maybe this is the Browns. They're first in the AFC North right now. It's crazy. Maybe they keep going. Division's kind of wide open. It's kind of theirs right now. So we'll see. But the Ravens, you got to blame somebody in a loss like this. And there is somebody to blame, and it's goes back to the coaching and the play calling here. I think in just decision making. It kind of looks like the playoff game against the Chargers. Different score line, but there's at some point in the third quarter and you threw the ball 15 times and they end up throwing. I know they ended up at the end of the game. They ended up throwing the ball like 35 times or so, give or take. But at that point, 15 times when I checked it, and it was around the third quarter. There's really no excuse for that. I'm not really sure what you're doing, and you kind of set yourself up to fail then because everyone knows at this point you're down a couple scores. You're throwing the ball every play. It kind of takes out your good running game out of it. I know you have a good running game, but you got to throw the ball more. It's almost like they didn't. That's why I kind of said it looks like the Chargers game. It looks like they don't believe in their quarterback again when he's proven he can play. I blame that. Even if the play calling was right, I don't know if they would have won the game because the Browns offense was on and they had some playmakers on defense step up. So credit to the Browns. It's just what they needed, and there it happened. It happened. They broke out. Offense broke out. Can they keep going? I'd say it looks like it, but today's NFL, we see what happens every week. We think we got an identity on a team, and the next week, whole different story. It happens every week. It went from last week to this week big time. So it's a very unpredictable NFL right now. But credit to the Browns there for that win. Panthers and Texans, the Panthers, they're better with Kyle Allen. That's for sure right now. Their defense, surprisingly, looks really good right now. Luke Kuechly is just unreal. We knew that. But he's covering so much ground, run game, pass game. You got to give a lot of credit to him. I thought Ross Cockrell was pretty much everywhere. The secondary overall looked pretty good. But, yeah, some of those guys look like they're just everywhere. You know, for the Texans to go score 10 points, pretty pathetic, honestly, at home. Against it, I know the Panthers' defense is better than I expected, and I'd say that, but you can score more than 10 points, and you should be able to. It's pathetic if you can't score more than 10 points in this defense. It's not the Bears' defense. It's not the Bills' defense. I mean, come on. And questionable decisions. You know, you get down close to the red zone there, and you have DeAndre Hopkins throw the ball directly to I think it was Cockrell, or defender. And it's, why do you need to do that? I mean, by the end result of the game, if you didn't watch the game, it looks like maybe they need to do that. But no, you didn't need to do that at that time. Both running backs, the Texans look absolutely lost. They traded a third-round pick for Duke Johnson. You know, another Bill O'Brien thing. Bill O'Brien traded a third-round pick for Duke Johnson. It just looks like a fail right now. Those running backs look lost. They look absolutely lost right now, Hyde and Johnson. You know, they couldn't figure out the Panthers' defense. They just couldn't figure it out, really. And like I mentioned, the guys that were pretty dominant, they were really dominant. It just more points need to be scored. And wasting a timeout on that, losing a timeout on that challenge where McCaffrey clearly caught the ball, that costed you pretty much. It was a stupid challenge, whether it cost you at the end or not. It was a stupid challenge. Some of the play designs are just stupidity. So, I mean, I don't know what to do there. O'Brien made all these changes with trading too, and it's just like, you make those trades only if and you got to be confident and believe you're a Super Bowl contender, but it's not looking that way. It's already looking like, even if those players they traded for are good, it's not looking good right now. So just because of the position they're in. So I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. It's really a mess over there. It's a mess even if they make the playoffs, which you think you got to be confident as a Texans fan, or if you're in that organization, that you definitely make the playoffs, but it's still a mess. It's a messy situation. The Panthers are, I got to credit Kyle Allen. I think I did. Him going in and playing very well. That sack he escaped from Watt. Watt's got to make that sack, but that sack he escaped and made a play. I mean, not many quarterbacks can do that right now. I know it's kind of like a one play thing, but super impressive. McCaffrey's once again super impressive, pretty much doing it all. The only bad thing I could say is I fear that he may get worn down early in his career because they're really using him. So credit to Sly making these kicks too for the Panthers, but impressive. The Panthers with Kyle Allen, and they're 2-0. Let's see what they can do next week. Texans got to wake up here. And another unpredictable game. 55 points for the Buccaneers, 40 points for the Rams. And, nobody would predict this. I don't think even the Bucs, the Bucs fans are a very confident people. And, they were hyping up the defense. They're going to be in games because of the defense. So I don't think they would even predicted them to win this game. No, they thought they would win. But 55-40, nobody predicted this. Nobody. You're a liar if you think you say you did. But you got to credit man. I mean, Jameis Winston, I still think he's an inconsistent quarterback because sometimes I always been saying, he looks like a Pro Bowler at one point, and then like that interception he threw was just a no in that situation. You cannot do in that situation. But some of the ball placements in this game were great, trusting his receivers, moving a little bit in the pocket. I thought the offensive line stepped up for the most part, which is good. So great game for them. The play calling, it's at another level now with this new coaching staff and the play calling, Bruce Arians. It's at another level. For you to score 55 points with, you got two stud receivers. We know Winston's capable, but what he's done in the past, you don't have, you don't have the best running back room. The offensive line's been inconsistent, but they can play. Some big names up there. For them to just go out and be able to, with that, just go put up 55 points on a top team like the Rams is just super impressive. We see what, it's going to scare teams going forward. It's going to scare teams. And then on the defense side, really it's a shootout here, but Shaq Barrett just continues to be just insanely impressive for the Buccaneers defense. But to go to the Rams side, you put up 40 points and you should win. Just look at that alone. You think you win the game, but you got Goff, who, what do you have, 3 picks and a fumble? Looking at that, how do you win? But how are you in this game? I look at, and I'm going to credit McVay a shit ton right here for this, because you look at back to Goff. He played a terrible game, even though he had yards. He threw the ball a million times. Terrible game. But you look at other teams and their quarterback struggles, and they're, look at the Texans, and there's some teams we're going to talk about going forward here in this video. The Texans don't have a quarterback problem, so that's not where I'm getting with that. But my point was they're just only able to put 10 points up on the board. It's pretty obvious that I didn't mean that. They obviously don't have a quarterback problem. Can't stress that enough. But other teams that can't put up on the boards points up on the board because they have a quarterback problem. And then you look at this game with the Rams, Goff struggling big time. In this game specifically, they have a quarterback problem. A guy that's been struggling, under pressure. He struggled last week. They have a quarterback problem in this situation, but they could still somehow forget that and still go put up 40 points. There's a team that I'm specifically getting mad at here that we'll talk about in a little bit. Well, it's the Vikings. So I'll just say it now. It's the Vikings. The Rams are able to go score 40 points with a quarterback struggling. And they have weapons, I know. But the other team that I just mentioned has weapons. I'm crediting the coaching staff here and kind of pissed off at another coaching staff. But you got to credit McVay for still going up and putting up points. And like I already credited Arians, going up. And you don't have the greatest, you have some weapons, but you don't have the greatest, all-around team. They're not supposed to be as talented as like the Rams. And they go up, put up 55 points. So, the Rams defense looked really good last week against the Browns, and this week they give out 55 to the Buccaneers. I didn't. It's the NFL. Nobody predicted this. Kind of rambled on about random stuff on that one, but it's a weird game. The Buccaneers play the Saints next week. They seem to get one on the Saints usually every year. So, they're back in the conversation of the NFC South. We'll see. Crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Seahawks and Cardinals. Hey, there was a predictable one here. I pretty much. I don't want to say I nailed it because I was a little off on the score. I thought it'd be a little higher scoring, but in terms of how the game would unfold and how much maybe the Seahawks would win by, this was an accurate one, a predictable one, I should say. I figured the Seahawks would go in there and they would actually be able to run the ball. They ran the ball, not insanely crazy, but Carson was able to run the ball. Kind of predicted. Russell Wilson kind of did his thing. I just thought the Cardinals could put up a little more points. So credit to Seahawks, the defense. There's not a lot to talk about this one. This was one of the predictable ones. Credit to Seahawks defense. They were able to run the ball as it predicted, and it was Seahawks football. All right, I don't know what else to say about this one. The Vikings and the Bears. We talked about the Vikings. This was an absolute disaster. It's pathetic. It's an absolute disaster. Maybe the Vikings just can't play against the Bears. It looks like that, but this is something, regardless who you're playing, shouldn't really happen. The Bears have some key players out, and they had their quarterback go down, but I thought Daniel played good. There was a lot of parts of quarterback that he checked boxes in this game. I know he was kind of just thrown in there. Maybe he's got a little more pressure knowing he's going to start this week, so we'll see how he plays. But he did what he needed to do in every category. But the Vikings, this is just pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. And Kirk Cousins played a terrible game. You know that. The offensive line didn't help him. But I'm going to blame the coaching a lot. Like I talked about, there's other teams that are just able to, even with bad quarterback play, they're able to put up 40 points. You're putting up 6 points. I thought, really, I don't know if play calling was bad, but play designs looked pretty bad in this one. I want to look at the tape on this, but it is long developing plays. You got 2 stud receivers, but they're still in the act of running some crazy route, downfield that it's just pointless. It's pointless. You rather just have them run straight. Early in the game, Cousins barely missed Thielen. He was open, and then you did it to Diggs later in the game where he was open. I don't know why you didn't do more of that. It's not a long developing play. It's just run straight. They're 2 fast guys, run straight. And then at the end of the game, I know it's garbage time, but it's a lot of quick slants. You could have ran that at any time and could have completed it at any time. Why are you waiting? It's not part of the playbook. That's my point. It's not part of the playbook. It's just they have to. They're better in that situation. The playbook didn't look too good. The play designs didn't look too good. There's a way. I know they're playing a very good defense, but there's a way. There's always a way to score more than 6 points. It was pathetic, And then defensively, I thought the corners were leaving a little too much cushion. Defense actually stepped up. It wasn't really their fault, but early. A little too much cushion on the edge. The Bears are going to run the quick outs, the quick slants. A little too much cushion. I thought it actually looked like, they were game planning for Trubisky, and then all of a sudden you get Daniel, and he's a totally different type of quarterback. I know some are better in other categories than the other one, back and forth, but I thought, it kind of threw them off a little bit. It's still really not an excuse. It's just, obviously they need to go in there and win this game and all these guys for the Bears out, but I'm just saying that's what I saw it happen. You got to credit the Bears defense. Maybe credit Daniel. Like I said, Daniel, right off the top, he comes in the game. He's able to read defenses. He's able to change the call at the line. He's able to scan the field, the entire field. He's able to locate the best open target, hit him accurately. He was throwing the ball downfield pretty accurately. And he was getting, there was times where he had all day, but there was times where he was getting pressure and it didn't faze him. So a lot of different categories, he looked good, and it's kind of what the Bears have been missing the last couple weeks. There's a big play here and there, but just some simple categories. I think Daniel's a good game manager. I almost think a game like this, it was almost like perfect for him to be in. Obviously you'd rather have Trubisky like a big play guy, but he also can take you out of the game, maybe in a game against like the Saints, who is coming up in a few weeks. So, I think you could argue back and forth like which quarterback's better in what scenario, but Daniel checked boxes. And it doesn't mean that it's confirmed and he's proven in those boxes. Just this game, in a lot of categories. My favorite was able to recognize the defense, change the play at the line, and able to scan the field from left to right, right to left, and find the correct target. I really enjoyed how Chase Daniel was able to do that, just getting thrown in there off the bench. That was pretty impressive. But the defense, Khalil Mack's just unreal. Just the presence he makes is unbelievable. Guys like Nick Williams stepping up, and I think, you got to credit to him, playing a good game, and Roy Robertson Harris, those guys played good, but I really think Khalil Mack is the reason for guys like that stepping up. You see Akeem Hicks dominating. He's the dominant player, dominating on the D-line, but then you get another guy that's just dominating almost as much, and I really think it has to do with Khalil Mack, and the presence is unreal. I was tweeting that I'd rather have him than any other defensive player, including Aaron Donald, just because the presence and the impact he makes for the other players, and then what he does himself. The strip sack in the start of the second half was like, that was about to be Cousins' quickest release, quickest throw of the game. It really was. It was like a 1-second strip sack. He was already in the throwing motion. It's ridiculous. So, credit, to him. Other guys in defense, Wachowski really was a high motor guy all over the place. So credit to him with Roquan being out. Impressive Bears defense, but it's nothing new, but it was a kind of a little surprising this game for them to come together like that, but Vikings defense or offense needs some help there, and I kind of going back to Khalil Mack, I think there was almost a point of them game planning for Khalil Mack almost too much. It sounds ridiculous, but I think they kind of just got in the players' heads, and even the game plan, the play callers' heads, that just try to stay away from Mack as much as possible, because what is Cook best at? Running outside. They kept going directly inside with him, and it wasn't working, but it's stupidity. It's absolutely stupidity. I think they were just trying not to go outside. I don't know. And the blocking wasn't too good for Minnesota. I know Klein was out. I guess it makes Klein look a lot better, but I don't know. It was pathetic for the Vikings, but maybe it's just the one team they can't play against. Who knows? Look absolutely dominant last week against the Raiders. I know it's the Raiders, but absolutely dominant. And then this, maybe maybe it's the Bears. Maybe they're that much different at home. Maybe they're just going to be an inconsistent team. Maybe all of the above. I don't know. It's weird. The Jags and the Broncos. Broncos thought they had another game at the end of the, down the stretch, and they lost it. And I heard there was like players crying going into the locker room. It's sad. It's sad that they can't close out another game. But if you let Fournette run for 225 yards, I don't know if he really deserved to win the game, but it looked like they had it won at one point. What do I say about this game? The Broncos, I think Flacco really got another, I keep saying this every week, another like small step in direction of getting better throwing the ball somewhat downfield. And it looked like it again, even though he had to pick, but it kind of looked like he really got Sanders going, he really got Sutton going. So, Flacco can throw, just being a little more consistent, not throwing that turnover, but there's worse elsewhere, obviously, in terms of quarterback play. So then they got going. The running backs didn't really get going, but they didn't run the ball all that much, but I guess they didn't really need to. The 24 points is, it should be enough to win this game, really, I guess, but I guess you could run the ball, use Lindsey a little more, but defensively, out of the secondary was pretty solid. The run defense is the problem. 225 yards for Leonard Fournette after, he kind of was shut down by the Titans after that last run. I guess the Titans' run defense is really good. I've been saying they might have elite run defense, but, and I don't really like the blocking scheme of the Jags the run blocking scheme. So I don't know what happened with the Broncos here. I guess they need D linemen. Von Miller and Bradley Chubb were kind of existent finally in pass rush, but stopping the run is Von Miller is just nowhere in sight. It's just, there's a problem there. There's a big problem. And they got to close out these games. The defense has changed as soon as, a team needs a game-winning drive. I really don't understand it. You got to credit, obviously, Fournette. He had 220. He had an 81-yard run, yeah, but he still had the 81-yard run, and he still had 225 yards. So, big game for Fournette. Gardner Minshew. You look at the stats, Gardner Minshew, and it's pretty good. I don't have the stats in front of me. I'm not a stats guy, but I'm just saying for people that really didn't watch the game, you go look at the stats. They're pretty solid stats, but nothing that blows your mind, so you're probably like, okay, but you watch the game, Gardner Minshew was very good in this game, moving around the pocket, escaping sacks, making crazy throws, being very smart. It's just crazy. This guy was just drafted in the 6th round, and the first game, the Foles goes down, and you got to get thrown in there, and you got to play good defenses every week, the Titans on the Broncos, and he does this. I'm mind blown. It's outstanding. During the college season last year, I think I tweeted at one point that Minshew, a little underrated. He should be in the conversation with some of these other guys, maybe in the 2nd, 3rd round. But me saying that, I'm still surprised at what I'm seeing on the field here. Still shocked. So, credit to him, credit to Fournette, credit to the game plan here, and being down and coming back too, and then being clutch at the end, just all around. It looks pretty. No Jalen Ramsey too. It's just. Man, Jags, the AFC South. Who the hell's going to win the AFC South? No clue. The NFL is so unpredictable. Here we go again. The Saints are 2-0 without Drew Brees. Teddy Bridgewater's a winner. He's a game manager. He didn't play the greatest game, but he's a winner and he's a game manager. I didn't like, really the only thing that was bad was kind of the sacks he was taking, kind of running too far backwards, holding on to the ball a little too long. But I do think the Saints need more than just Michael Thomas. Again, had that drop, early in the game that went right to the defender, but I do think they need more receivers. They're better receiver, can really open things up. Kamara, if you look at the stats, didn't really blow you away, but he was dominant in this game, doing what he needed to do, fighting for the extra yards, closing out the game, kind of like last week, similar to last week. Running the clock, was dominant. I think he had 68, 69 yards rushing, but it won't tell you the story, It really won't. But the story of this game was really the Saints defense clutching up. And if you remember week 1, I was super hyped about the Raiders defense, not like predicting, not going forward. I wasn't saying that's going to be a good defense only because week 1. I was hyped because they were hyped. It was a team effort like this. I haven't seen it in a while. Like everybody flying to the ball, high motor, everybody like playing as a team. And it was, you don't really see that a lot. All 11 guys on defense doing that. And I saw that with the Saints this week. I loved it. Last night, just everyone flying to the ball, no matter who's on the defense, whoever's subbing in. The defensive line was pretty dominant. Malcolm Brown, who they get from the Patriots, big-time signing. He was all over the place. Pretty much everybody. Marshawn Lattimore did a great job on the outside. Von Bell coming up making plays. A.J. Klein making plays. These guys were at Demario Davis. You can go on. Everybody on the defense. And it's weird seeing the defense, because the Saints – there's a bunch of good playmakers there, but they're not supposed to be like a top-tier defense, holding the Cowboys to 10 points. They're not supposed to be on the same level as the Bears or the Bills, maybe the Titans, but it looks like they are based on this game, and I love to see that. And they continue to make plays, make turnovers, And last year, I said this last week too, like last year I'm like, okay, it's one of those years where it's kind of like lucky turnovers, and it's not luck anymore when you continue to do it, when you're consistent at it, so credit to them. Continue to do that. The Cowboys got to score more than 10 points here. And they can't turn the ball over. Zeke doesn't look right now. He doesn't look like I said this last week, he doesn't look like laterally gifted as he used to be. Kind of see that again. Like, what's going on here? Not that I'm saying he's bad, like he's going to be fine. He's one of the best running backs in football, but you want a little more here. Just nothing going on offense. Nothing going. The offensive line didn't look as dominant as it was recently, and it should be. Credit to the Saints. Defense, pass rush, blitzes, disguises. Tyron Smith got hurt late. That's unfortunate, but you can't really blame anybody. It's just I don't know. And the hype about Kellen Moore, and it's just nothing in this game too. Like 10 points. You have to go out and score more points. You have to try to throw the ball downfield. And the Saints were kind of a lot of checkdowns. As game manager, Teddy, it's fine, but a lot of checkdowns, and you just get beat to that because you just have no offense. So it's just classic Cowboys. 1 week we just see this all of a sudden. Sometimes it can extend for a few games, and they got a big game against the Packers next week. A defense that can make that's a similar defense to the Saints. It can make plays. You can maybe run the ball on them a little bit. You can get some yards, but they'll make plays and they'll clutch up. And they've been good this year. So I don't know. There's got to be a little more to this offense. There has to be more. Credit to the Saints. I already credited them, but 2 games in a row without Drew Brees. Tough division game this week. We'll see. Unpredictable NFL. And it's almost like not unpredictable where it's the teams that are winning, but just looking at what they do on the offensive side of the ball a week ago and then what they do on the offense this week. Same thing with the defense. Like, it's so weird. In a lot of away teams, how many away teams won this week? I think 3 home teams on Sunday. Was it the Bears, Giants, and Saints? I could be missing one in there. It's just top of my head. But weird stuff. Weird NFL, unpredictable. We'll see what we got in store for this week, upcoming weeks. We got you covered with power rankings and all kinds of predictions. That's going to do it for this one, though. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Hopefully you can join us and subscribe for the rest of the content all year long. That's going to do it, though. Goodbye.